Hello, dear friends, and welcome to our full moon ceremony. Tonight we're celebrating the sun in the sign of Gemini and the moon in the sign of Sagittarius. And the exact moment of the full moon is actually tomorrow morning at 4:52 a.m. So those of you who are early risers can be up and meditating at that time. I'd like to read what the astrologer Pam Johannsen says about this June full moon because it's very interesting and I wasn't aware of it at all. She says, this full moon that occurs in June is known as the strawberry moon in the traditions of many Native American tribes of the northeastern United States, due to the region's wild strawberries that ripen in the late spring and early summer. This year's strawberry moon will also be a supermoon, which means it will appear larger and brighter than typical full moons. A supermoon occurs when the moon is as close as it can be to the Earth at the time that it opposes the sun. It is said that the gravitational pull of the full moon is stronger when it is a supermoon, and this heightens its effect on our emotional, mental, and physical bodies, and also increases the possibility of tectonic movement, earthquakes, and other natural events. End quote. So, in addition to all that, this is also the last of the 3 spring festivals that we celebrate every year. So tonight we have a lot to talk about, but before we begin, let's take just a few moments to align. So closing our eyes, take a few gentle breaths. And put your attention on your heart. Take a few moments to feel the loving quality that resides in the heart. Feel how through this essential love that we all are, we are connected. This loving heart can dispel all obstructions to our awareness of our oneness. Let this loving heart fill the space that connects us all, for love always unites. Align yourself with this love and with each other. And then gently bring yourself back. So let's talk for just a bit about the specific planetary energies that will be impacting us this month. We have 3 powerful planets that sit very, very close to the moon: Saturn, Neptune, and the dwarf planet Eris. If we successfully integrate these various energies, we should be able to take advantage of the determination of Saturn. Saturn is known to be the one that's full of responsibility and dedication and sometimes constriction. So we can take advantage of the determination of Saturn while accessing the creative and spiritual guidance of Neptune. And Eris gives us the inspiration to take action according to our own truth. So those are the 3 predominant planets and their energies that we'll be feeling this month. Now, thinking back over the last few months, let's remember that we came together in April to honor our new beginning as we started a new cycle in Aries. And we invoked the fiery will of Aries to help us initiate the new ideas that were brought into our consciousness. In May, at the Wesak Festival, we were the receivers of the grounding earth energy of Taurus to help us embody and manifest those ideas that we contacted in Aries. We also welcomed the illuminating light of the Buddha and the Christ, bringing us the gift of unconditional love and wisdom. All those who participated in this powerful ceremony received the blessings given by the Buddha and the Christ. The Christ then held within himself the remainder of those energies to be distributed to all of humanity at this full moon. Each year, this festival is celebrated at the full moon in Gemini. This festival is called by many names. It can be called the Festival of Humanity, the Festival of the Christ, the Festival of Goodwill. It's called the Festival of the Christ because, as you know, it was the Christ who stood at the stone altar during the Wesak Festival and received the cosmic energies of the Lord Buddha. As we mentioned, at this Gemini festival, those energies are dispersed onto all of humanity. It is sometimes called the Festival of Humanity because humanity is the recipient of these powerful energies. The hope is that humanity will receive these energies fully into their being. The more consciously we invite these energies in, the more potent they will be, the more powerfully they will stimulate our divine nature. This festival is also called the Festival of Goodwill, because that is the way that most people will manifest this energy, as a desire to just be a better person, to do good in the world. Interestingly, since 1952, this festival also coincides with the World Day of Prayer, or the World Invocation Day. It was created as a way to intensify the invocative appeal to the Great Ones. And we are told that this universal appeal evokes a tremendous downpouring of love and goodwill from the hierarchy. In 1952, on World Invocation Day, Eleanor Roosevelt read the Great Invocation over the radio, and that touched thousands of people. So it is that on this day, people from all over the world are encouraged to recite the Great Invocation many times throughout the day, as a way to send up a powerful invocative appeal to the Great Ones, to pour down upon us love, light, and power. This is the power of a united invocative appeal. We are promised that there will be an evocative response, and the potency of that response depends upon the power of the invocation. So I invite you to participate in this worldwide endeavor tomorrow by reciting the Great Invocation as many times as possible for you on this day. And if some of you don't have the Great Invocation, you can either send me an email and I will send it to you, or you can go onto the Lucis Trust website, Lucis Trust website, and you can find it there. The Tibetan master Dwal Kul says this about this important day, quote, "The power of united prayer and meditation is as yet a little used resource. On World Invocation Day, we have the opportunity to marshal this power to aid the forces of light upon planet Earth. To invoke is to call upon, to petition for help or support, to appeal to. In the case of World Invocation Day, the appeal is being made to God and to the overshadowing beneficent forces to come to the aid of humanity and the planet. It is said that the invocation could change our lives, reorient our purpose, expand our consciousness, and stabilize us in spiritual being. It could also disrupt and build the planetary thought form and open the door into the New Age, thus ushering in the new and better civilization. This could be done so rapidly that the needed changes would come about almost overnight, and humanity could settle down to a life of group goodwill, individual harmlessness, and right human relations. Please join us in this global day of prayer, meditation, and invocation. Together we can change the world. End quote. So this might be something that you would consider doing tomorrow as a way to increase the power of the invocation. Usually when we think of the full moon, we focus on the moon itself and assume that we're dealing with the energies of the moon. Well, we are in a sense, but what we most want to focus on is the alignment that takes place between the sun, the moon, and the earth, and the constellation we are currently in. Because of this alignment, what we actually see on the day of the full moon is the reflected light of the sun. It shines completely unobstructed to the moon. This is why in esoteric astrology, we focus mostly on the energies of the sun at the time of the full moon. It is always important, however, to consider the moon energies because part of our task is to blend, integrate, and synthesize the energies of both the sun and its opposite sign, the moon. If we wanted to be very technical in our description, we would call these important monthly days solar festivals instead of full moon festivals. So let's talk for a bit about Gemini and its opposite sign, Sagittarius. Since both energies are impacting us, we are asked to bring a balance to the qualities of each sign. So this month, we will need to examine our thoughts. Since Gemini is an air sign, a mental sign, where might we be using faulty reasoning? That's a Gemini attribute. And how can we use these energies to reveal the truth, which is what Sagittarius is all about? We are asked to purify our thoughts and to be aware that our thoughts matter, that what we are thinking, we are also transmitting. Through our thoughts, we can also invoke. The more energy we put into positive thoughts, the more we are likely to manifest positive results. So we might want to ask ourselves this month, what do we want to bring into our lives? And what do we want to radiate out into our world? Can we honor the power of our thoughts and be mindful that our thoughts and words can harm or heal? The poet Hafiz said, quote, "The words you speak become the house you live in," end quote. So what kind of a house do you choose to live in? Full moons always give us the opportunity also to open a new chapter in our lives. So let us use these energies this month to become better listeners, not so much chatter, not so much monkey mind. Let our minds be open to hear, to understand, to ask questions, and listen to the answers that we receive intuitively. And let us be discerning in the information that we take in, It's so important in these times of fake news and sensationalism that's so prevalent in our news. We must not allow that intense emotional energy to creep into our bodies and take over. That only produces more fear, more anxiety, and confusion. Let us practice instead becoming the observer. Let us notice and watch from a distance, keeping our hearts open, but not becoming absorbed in the energy. Watching as if from a distance. That way we can control our emotional bodies more easily. And once our emotional bodies are stabilized, we can see more clearly, and we can remain centered and grounded. Okay, getting back to Gemini. The symbol of Gemini is portrayed as two columns standing next to each other. They are called the brothers, the twins, and they represent duality, the pairs of opposites. At the highest level, this can symbolize the soul and the personality, or spirit and matter. But on the personality level, we can experience this as a war that's going on within us. Two parts of ourselves, and each part wants something different. For instance, we may want to follow our hearts, but the mind has other plans. We may experience great self-doubt and wish for more confidence. There may be a war going on between our intellect and our emotions. These are all examples of dualities that appear in our personalities. So if you think of the dualities within your own nature, what comes to mind? Where are you at war with yourself? Let's think about that for just a moment. There's a lovely story that I have paraphrased that demonstrates this point, and I've shared it with many of you before, so bear with me as I express it one more time. I repeat this story every Gemini festival because it so clearly demonstrates this duality. An old Native American elder is talking to his grandson, and he admits to him this struggle that's always going on within himself. He calls it a battle, and describes to his grandson the constant war between what he calls the light and the darkness within himself. The grandson asks, "But grandfather, which side is going to win?" And the grandfather replies, "Whichever side I feed." So we might ask ourselves this month, will I feed the light that is within me this month, or the darkness? Because as we know, the light of the sun radiating down upon us will fill us with light, but it will also light up whatever darkness there is within us. So let us make it our intention to feed that light, to expand and grow that light, and also be willing to face the darkness when we become aware of it. That's not feeding it. That's just allowing it to be known so it can be healed and transformed. All right, getting back to Gemini. The Gemini personality has a very active mind. It's a mental sign. It's ruled by Mercury. It can also be very moody and indecisive. Some words that might describe Gemini are the inquirer. They're always looking for answers. The messenger, they love to talk about the information they've gathered. The connector, Gemini usually sees all sides of an issue, and he won't stop until he's heard everyone's point of view. His messenger energy comes from the ruler Mercury, known as the messenger of the gods. This is a transmitting energy, and at this level of the personality, or ego, what is transmitted is information from his busy mind. He's always collecting and distributing information. The more evolved Gemini, the spiritually mature Gemini, in this person, the transmitting energy is uplifted to be the transmitter of pure spiritual qualities. The Gemini personality is very active. He needs movement. He wants people around. He doesn't like to be alone. He likes to be everywhere at once, and everything in his environment stimulates and impresses him. He needs to find the internal strength within himself. He needs the balancing energy of his opposite sign, Sagittarius, who is very one-pointed and focused, goal-oriented and directed. He also needs to invoke his soul ruler, which is Venus. Venus brings in the energy of love, and she connects the opposing forces. Remember, love always unites. She joins the brothers in a fluid synthesis. And there's a short poem in the Tao that illustrates this principle. Quote, "The place where the this and the that are not opposed to each other is called the pivot of the Tao. When we find this pivot, we find ourselves at the center of the circle. And here we sit, serene, while yes and no keep chasing each other around the circumference endlessly." Does that sometimes feel like what your mind feels like? I know mine does sometimes. So under the influence of the soul, Gemini becomes a transmitter of the spiritual energy of love. Once the heart is infused with love, it allows the Gemini person to see the divinity within everyone. And that is our task this month, to allow the energy of love to transform us. The power of love is what this third festival is all about. So let us prepare now for meditation. Make sure you are seated in a place where you will not be disturbed, where all distractions have been eliminated. And let us turn our focus to our breathing. Take a few deep cleansing breaths. Allow the breath to travel throughout your body, quieting, calming, creating softness and gentleness with every inhalation. Let this life breath help you to come home into the body, to settle, to relax. Feel the stresses of the day release as you exhale. Now imagine that the color violet is filling your room. This is the color of Gemini. Breathe it into your heart space and allow it to open your heart so that you are receptive to the downpouring of love that will occur as we invoke these energies of Gemini. Opening the heart. Breathing in violet. Be aware now of your consciousness expanding, opening up, reaching up to the spiritual realms. See now in your mind's eye the image of the Christ, however you picture him. See him clearly and fully. And become aware of the energy of love that emanates from his being. And align yourself to that energy. Feel it fill your body. Imagine it expanding and enfolding your entire auric field. Then, with the conscious act of focused will, send forth your appeal, your demand that the Christ release the energies of love throughout the planet. Know that as you do this, an intense magnetic field of transforming power is being created that will draw the needed energies into the earth. Be open and receptive now to these powerful energies. Imagine them surrounding and integrating into the heart of the planet, touching all with the energy of dynamic love. Imagine that love filling you, irradiating your entire body. Now see yourself, feel yourself walking among all those that you meet each day and radiating this powerful love. See it manifest in the world through your radiation. Imagine it dispelling all illusions of separation between individuals, groups, and nations. Watch as it heals our planet. Let us sit in silent meditation now for 5 minutes and contemplate how the energy of love and goodwill can transform our world. Create a vision of our world imbued with goodwill and love. Silence for 5 minutes. May the love of the one soul, focused in this group, radiate upon humanity and all nations, healing, soothing, strengthening, and dissipating all that hinders service to the world. May the peace and blessings of the holy ones pour forth over all the world. Now, before we bring ourselves back, I would like us to participate in a brief visualization focused on the United Nations. We're going to imagine that the United Nations has fulfilled its sole purpose and is working constructively for world peace and unity. So let us imagine a day in September. It's Peace Day, and the ritual opening of the work of the United Nations is about to begin. All the world leaders have gathered around an enormous oval table, seating over 190 nations. In the center of the table is a large chalice filled with pure spring water, the World Communion Chalice. The scourge of war has been eliminated. Now they are celebrating unity and brotherhood and are recognizing one another for each nation's achievements on behalf of world good. The atmosphere is one of respect, true dialogue and understanding, and pledges of support are being offered for each nation's needs and bringing them to solution. This is a global communion celebration of brotherhood and sisterhood, the desire of all nations, and a sign of world peace. The presence of the risen Christ is the spiritual keynote emanating from each and every heart. National leaders are committing to the good of all their people and the peoples of all nations within the field of this great unified heart. Such is the word spoken now on earth. In one spiritual speech, the language of unity through brotherhood and sisterhood is understood. Let us now recognize that this is a thought form that can come into manifestation as we hold it in our mind and feed it with our desire for peace on earth. Bring yourselves gently back now to the room in which you're sitting. Feel your body connected to the chair or the floor. Imagine energy going out through your feet, down through the center of the earth, connecting to that grounding, centering energy of the Mother. And of course, I couldn't have a ceremony without a poem. So I'd like to read you this poem called Beginners. But we have only begun to love the earth. We have only begun to imagine the fullness of life. How could we tire of hope? So much is in bud. How can desire fail? We've only begun to imagine justice and mercy, only begun to envision how it might be to live as siblings with beast and flower, not as oppressors. Surely our river cannot already be hastening to the sea of non-being. Surely it cannot drag in the silt all that is innocent. Not yet, not yet. There is too much broken that must be mended. Too much hurt we have done to each other that cannot yet be forgiven. We have only begun to know the power that is in us if we would join our solitudes in the communion of struggle. So much is unfolding that must complete its gesture. So much is in bud. This is a poem by Denise Levertov. Okay, we can't close our ceremony without reciting the Great Invocation, since tomorrow is Invocation Day. So please join with me if you know the words, or just listen if you don't. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Namaste, friends. Thank you for joining us. Have a blessed month.